Good evening, everyone. So, welcome to our live sessions. Right? So, now even net exam is over, but more exams are coming up. So, it's high time that we start revising for our upcoming exams. So, GATE exam will be held on 7th of February, right? So, from today onwards, we thought that, okay, fine, let's start revising for the upcoming GATE English exam. All right. So it is our first session tonight of GATE revision. After this, more exams are coming up like CUET, PG and all. So don't worry, we will revise for all the exams. Okay. So good evening and welcome to our GATE revision session. It is our first GATE revision session and we are doing live after almost a week, right? So welcome, welcome. Let me see what you all are saying in the chat. Good evening, good evening. Are you all ready? Are you all ready? Yes. So let me start by sharing my screen. Yeah. I hope the screen is visible to you all now. Yes. Good evening. Hello. Right. So welcome to our GATE session 1. Yes. Are you all ready? Oh, wow. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hi, hi. So, please like the session, everyone. And now we are starting. Okay. So, welcome again to our first session of GATE. So, I believe all of you have gone through GATE PYQs. If not yet, then I would urge you all that if you are preparing for the GATE English exam, please make sure that you have the PYQs of GATE and look through these PYQs thoroughly. Try to understand what type of questions are they coming back to again and again. And very soon you will realize that there's a certain pattern that they are trying to repeat again and again in GATE. And that's what we are trying to offer to you through these revision sessions. Okay? All right, now let's start. Here is your first question for tonight. The Mystery of Edwin Drood is a novel by Dash, originally published in 1870. His final novel, it was left unfinished when he died. The Mystery of Edwin Drood is a novel by whom? The Mystery of Edwin Drood is a novel by whom? It's a novel by Dickens. Dickens was one of the major novelists of the Victorian period. Of the Victorian period, whose debut novel was The Pickwick Papers. The Pickwick Papers. The novels of Dickens are mostly popular for their picaresque elements. Picaresque elements and also for the social realism that Dickens employed in his novels, be it the Pickwick Papers or Oliver Twist or David Copperfield or Great Expectations. And it's very important that we also understand the themes which were largely explored by Dickens in his works, like the themes of poverty, social destitution, industrial modernity, and also how he presented the grim underbelly of London in his works, right? How he talked about various aspects of contemporary London life, be it through orphanages, or the street life of London, or the conditions of the factory workers, or the condition of the system of justice back then. Dickens is a very major Victorian novelist, so please make sure that you revise this writer really well. Okay? Right. Very good. Next. Bridget Jones's Diary is a 1996 novel by Helen Fielding. Written in the form of a personal diary, this novel chronicles a year in the life of Bridget Jones, a 30 something single working woman living in London. She writes about her career, self image, vices, family, friends, and romantic relationships. This novel is an example of Dash. This novel falls under which subgenre? Tell me. This novel falls under which subgenre? Tell me fast. This novel falls under which subgenre? It's very easy. You all know this. This novel falls under the subgenre of chick lit. This novel falls under the subgenre of chick lit. Do you all know the meaning of chick lit? It's a contemporary subgenre of novel which talks about the modern lifestyle, metro lifestyle. It talks about the metro lifestyle, especially of women, young women. So, through this question, what I'm trying to remind you is look at the contemporary literary genres. Contemporary literary genres. Lad lit, chick lit, all these are very important. Okay? So, chick lit. Bridget Jones's Diary is an example of chick lit. Okay? Right? Got it? Okay. Next. Great wits are to madness near allied, and thin partitions do their bounds divide. This is a quote from which work of Dryden? You all know very well, if you have gone through the PYQs of GATE, that they have asked lots and lots of questions from important quotes and passages of major works and authors. So again, it's a reminder for you all to look up important quotes, passages of major works, of major authors, right? This is a quote from which work of Dryden? It is from Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel. Absalom and Achitophel, it's a major work of satire by Dryden, published in 1681. And it celebrated the success of King Charles II in the exclusion crisis. This work of satire by Dryden celebrated the victory of King Charles II in the exclusion crisis. Dryden was one of the most influential writers of the Restoration period. And he was always pro-monarchy. He supported the king. During this time, there were two political parties, Whigs, who were the liberals, and the Tories, who were the conservatives. And Dryden almost always supported the Tories, the conservatives. He was always pro-monarchy. He supported the king. And this quote is from Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel. Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel. Next. Dash introduced the concept of cognitive mapping as a metaphor for how individuals and societies orient themselves within the complex structures of late capitalism. Tell me, who introduced the concept of cognitive mapping as a metaphor for how individuals and societies orient themselves within the complex structures of late capitalism? Tell me. It was the Marxist critique. Frederick Jameson. Frederick Jameson introduced the concept of cognitive mapping as a metaphor for how individuals and societies orient themselves within the complex structures of late capitalism. All right, Frederick Jameson, very important. Marxist critique. Okay, next. So, if you are planning to sit for the GATE exam, and if you're feeling underprepared, if you need some thorough, extensive revision, you can join our GATE English crash course. The course started from 8th of January. It's going on right now. In this course, we will offer you live revision sessions, topic-wise quizzes, and also model tests for intensive practice before the exam. The fees is rupees 2,500. So if you want, you can join our GATE English crash course. Okay, right. Next. Maps of Englishness. Writing Identity in the Culture of Colonialism by Dash argues that English identity was not fixed, but actively constructed through Britain's colonial experience, using literature and travel writing to explore how colonialism shaped perceptions of Englishness at home and abroad, revealing deep connections between imperial expansion, national identity crisis, and the development of modern English literature and post-colonial thought. Tell me, who wrote this work, Maps of Englishness? It's a major work of post-colonial studies. It's a work by Simon Gaikwandi. Simon Gaikwandi wrote Maps of Englishness. Okay, next. It is a melancholy object to those who walk through this great town or travel in the country when they see the streets, the roads, and cabin doors crowded with beggars of the female sex, followed by 3, 4, or 6 children, all in rags, and importuning every passenger for an alms. These mothers, instead of being able to work for their honest livelihood, are forced to employ all their time in strolling to beg sustenance for their helpless infants, who, as they grow up, either turn thieves for want of work or leave their dear native country to fight for the pretender in Spain or sell themselves to Barbados. Who wrote these lines and in which work? As you can very clearly understand, this work has a very sharp satiric tone. It talks about the hapless plight. It talks about the unfortunate plight of mothers, poor mothers and their children, and the obstructions this mothers face because of these children. So who wrote these lines and in which work? These lines were written by Jonathan Swift in A Modest Proposal. Jonathan Swift in A Modest Proposal. Again, quotes will be very, very important. It's high time that you guys start revising major quotes from major works. All right. Next, The Center of Consciousness by Dash is a key narrative technique where the story is filtered through a specific character's limited perspective, making their subjective experience the main lens, creating depth and exploring how reality is perceived often culminating in the character's profound realization or even destruction. So, who is associated with this concept of center of consciousness? Center of consciousness. Yes, it was indeed Henry James. Henry James. Correct. Next. For who knows not that truth is strong next to the Almighty? She needs no policies, no stratagems, no licensings to make her victorious. Those are the shifts and the defenses that error uses against the power. Give her but room and do not bind her when she sleeps, for then she speaks not true, as the old Proteus did, who spake oracles only when he was cotton bound. But then rather she turns herself into all shapes except her own, and perhaps tunes her voice according to the time, as Messiah did before Ahab, until she be adjured into her own likeness. Who wrote these lines? Very popular work or of a very popular writer. And here from this continuous insistence on truth and all, you can guess that who wrote these lines and in which work. Milton, John Milton wrote these lines in Areopagitica. John Milton wrote these lines in Areopagitica. Okay, John Milton wrote these lines in Areopagitica, which defended the freedom of the press against the licensing order of 1643. Okay, right, next. Intersectionality, a term coined by Dash, explains how overlapping social identities like race, gender, class, sexuality create unique experiences of discrimination and privilege, recognizing that these systems of inequality are not separate but interact to shape individual lives and compound disadvantages rather than just adding them up. So, who talked about the concept of intersectionality? It was Kimberly Crenshaw. Kimberly Crenshaw talked about the term intersectionality. It's a very major term. Kimberly Crenshaw talked about intersectionality. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, Sylvan historian, who canst thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. These are lines from which work? Tell me, very famous lines. These are lines from which work? Thou still unravished bride of quietness. These are lines from Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats. Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats. Okay, right. I'm a part of all that I have met is a quote from which poet? Which poet said this? I am a part of all that I have met. It's a quote from Lord Tennyson, the Victorian poet. Tennyson said that I am a part of all that I have met. The world has lost its soul, and I my sex. This is a major line from which feminist text. Gate will ask lots and lots of questions from major quotes and passages. So you better get accustomed to these things. The world has lost its soul, and I my sex. This is a major line from Germaine Greer's The Female Eunuch. Germaine Greer's The Female Eunuch. Okay? The Female Eunuch by Germaine Greer has this line. The world has lost its soul, and I my sex. Germaine Greer said this in The Female Eunuch. All right. So that's all from our side for tonight. I hope you guys loved the session, loved the questions. It was just our first session, And if you want, you can join our GATE crash course as well. So tomorrow I will be back again with a new revision session with more new questions and more practice. All right. Please like the session and see you all again tomorrow exactly at 9 p.m. at our Vallath YouTube channel. It was intersectionality of Kimberly Crenshaw. Intersectionality of Kimberly Crenshaw. Okay. All right. See you all again tomorrow at 9 p.m. It was just our first session of GATE, and we will be back with more. Okay. Take care. Good night and bye. Okay.